Good afternoon, guys. So, we'll be having our lesson in writing a syllogistic argument. This is introduction to Aristotle's syllogism. Logic is the art of correct reasoning. According to Kenny, logic sorts out good arguments from bad arguments. So it's basically a method of inference. When we say inference, we draw conclusions from certain evidence. There are several rules of inference. Today we will learn about syllogism. So this is Aristotle's syllogism. Syllogism is, of course, a method in logic wherein three propositions are used in order to arrive at a conclusion. Okay? So, syllogism basically points out to what we call deduction. Okay? So, deduction is drawing a conclusion from reasoning. Syllogism pertains to what we call verbal inference. So this is from John Stuart Mill. Now, a verbal inference does not introduce anything new to the table. It just presents something that we already know, or we are basically confirming what we already know. Okay, so an example of that would be, say, trees die. What else? People die. Right? Everything decays. Now, these things are what we call self-evident truths. So far, we know that there are three propositions in a syllogistic argument. And these propositions are used to arrive at a conclusion. Now, these propositions are drawn from verbal inferences. That was fast, right? Like magic. Okay, notice here that we have used every for each proposition. For the first proposition, we have every Filipino is human. Every signifies that which is universal. Okay? Now, every Filipino is human. This is a self-evident truth. This is drawn from a verbal inference. Okay. The same goes with proposition number 2. Every human is mortal. This is also self-evident. If you are mortal, then basically you are subject to death. Yeah, my favorite word, death. Okay, so every human is mortal. Okay, and then we have number 3. We have here therefore, which leads us to the conclusion of our argument. Therefore, every Filipino is mortal, meaning every Filipino is subject to death. Okay, death. Okay, so in order for you to understand this easily, or for you to have a clear model of our syllogistic argument, Aristotle presented schematic letters. Okay, so we will be using letters instead of words. Okay, we will assign each letter for each term. Okay, so Filipino is our minor term. Let's use A here. Human is our middle term. Let's assign B. Human, still B. Then mortal is our major term. Let's assign C there. Okay. If we transform them to schematic letters, we will have this. Every A is B. Every B is C. Therefore, every A is C. What we have here is an example of a syllogistic argument with universal affirmative propositions. When we say affirmative, we basically mean positive. So each proposition pertains to a positive claim or affirmative claim. What about universal negative propositions? Let's have an example of that. So first we have every Filipino is human. This is a universal affirmative proposition. It presents an affirmative or positive claim. Okay. Second one, or second proposition, we have no human is immortal. You notice that we use no. No signifies, of course, a negation. Okay. So it's a universal negation. Okay. So no human is immortal. And of course, that's self-evident. Right? And of course, we have our third and concluding proposition. Therefore, no Filipino is immortal. No. So, negation. Later, I will present you 3 rules that Aristotle presented in order to come up with a valid and sound syllogistic argument. But so far, we have discussed a quick take on logic, our introduction to deductive thinking. We have introduced Aristotle's syllogism. Particularly, we had examples of universal affirmative propositions and universal negative propositions. But of course, we cannot always use universal affirmative propositions when we are making syllogistic arguments. Some things are not subject to universal propositions. So here's an example. Every Filipino is an essayist. Of course, this is fundamentally wrong. This is wrong, okay? Because we know that not all Filipinos are essayists, okay? In order to correct this, we need to replace the word every with the word some. So let's say some Filipino is an essayist. This time, we will have what we call particular affirmative proposition, and that will be discussed in the next video. For now, take it easy.